Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for weeks, months, a few months, actually, not really years, but
How we've been. Haven't
but
been here.
but that's okay though because we are back at it again. What is going on, buddy?
It feels so. This feels so familiar.
It's like deja vu. Is it deja vu going on right now?
Yeah, it's been a couple of months, but only a couple of weeks.
You're a dodo. It's like Inception.
It's a dream within a
I can't
dream.
wake up. I can't wake up from the dream. What's going on, friends? We are back with y'all once again to bring the laughs and the shenanigans. Doing a little different this week only because of complaints from my side.
we're doing it a little. We're doing it a little bit different, yet the same.
Yet the same, exactly. So it's not too much different, but if you remember, we were coming with some new things on the horizon as far as visually adding to our podcast. And I've come to the realization that I have a face made for radio. I, in no way, shape, or form, like the way that I looked on our first pilot season 2, episode 1 visual YouTube video. I look crazy. Beth looks glamorous as
I do
always.
not look glamorous.
Beth was coming in 4K HD. I
No,
was
I
coming
was
in
not.
static cable format with the crooked antenna up top. No, no, I'm not going to get played like that.
First of all, we were on the same level, A, and B, I mean, it was something to try.
Third of all, we weren't on the same level. Like I said, you came out looking like you got done up for the Grammy Awards.
I
My
did
stuff.
not, Dawn. I worked all day. I went to work.
So now you're bragging. Oh, that's just you. I woke up like this.
No, that's
That's
not
what,
what
no,
I'm
that's
saying
what you're
at all.
saying.
My point is, it was the end of the day, wasn't it? At the
I
end of
can't
the day,
even
on a day, I
remember.
can't remember. It was nothing. No, we were both coming in the same way.
It
And
lies.
like you say, I mean, I think it takes, just like it when you start recording something, it takes time to get used to your voice
Mm-hmm.
and hearing it. Like I don't like the way my voice sounds, but I still record this podcast for some reason. And so it's the same thing. I think like I did not, I hate the camera. I didn't want, even though I think you said I
Well,
suggested the video, I
you
don't know
sure
why in
did.
the world I did
You
that, because
sure did.
I
Because you
don't even
wanted
like
to
to
see
take
my
pictures.
downfall, Beth. You wanted to see my
Not-
downfall.
I
That's
don't
all
even
that.
like to take pictures. And so it was, I tried to get them to, I when they wanted to take my picture at the license branch, I gave them a stick figure and said, can I draw this? I'm like, here.
Let them use their imagination if they pull me over. They can see who they
Right?
pulled over.
I didn't even want to, I don't like pictures either. So I think it's just something that you have to get used to. And like I said, I was talking to a couple of people. They're like, no, you got to do video. Video's where it's at. You got to, you got to put it out there. You got to, and maybe it's not for everybody.
It's not. It's not for me. I'll say that. It's not for me. I like the voice aspect. I feel, and it's funny because how you made mention of it about like how you felt forced to be like you had to be fun or you had to be entertaining. I felt like I used a lot more hand gestures and stuff. I felt like I had to like to get, and I don't know. Like I said, it's just not for me. I think we did excellent audio only. So that's my fault, friends.
Well, listen, and let's say it's not like a ton of people. Most people are going to, I think, when they catch the podcast, I believe the majority of people will probably listen to it. Now,
Yeah.
if we had an overwhelming response, or of the 8 people who did happen to view the video, say no, please
put our business out there.
Please keep the video aspect of it for whatever reason, I might be willing to reconsider. But
Yeah. Yeah.
considering that that's probably not going to happen, I think it's safe to say that it's probably all right if we transition back to what we know and what we do.
Exactly. And what I feel like we do well, I feel like we have a good response with our audio only podcast. And thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us and checking us out. And that being said, I ain't getting back in front of the camera.
I don't now listen, I won't never say never.
I didn't say never. I said I ain't getting back in front of the camera
Okay,
for the time being.
ain't say ain't.
Never, never say never. Ain't never, never say ain't. Because you are absolutely right. I'm not saying, maybe I just need a little bit more production
Production value.
materials.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
I don't know.
you know what I mean.
And when it was something we just tried. We didn't have any ring lights set up. It was very raw, very au natural, very
right,
like. And the truth of the matter is, Dawn, really, we do what we want to do. We enjoy doing this, so that's why we do it.
most definitely.
And if we shouldn't have to necessarily glam it all up and do all that stuff because it's just us having a conversation with our friends.
You right. You
It's just
right.
about that's what it's about.
Preach.
So,
Preach.
like I said, will it be revisited for the future?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
Like you
possibly.
said, never say never. I'm gonna stick with ain't say ain't. You said you ain't getting back in front of the camera. Ain't say ain't.
Ain't
So,
saying. So that's where we are, friends. But like I said, you can still you see we back to bring the laughs, and so that's what we're gonna do. So we got to jump into some things because, Heffa, we left off even on that first one. There was we had covered a couple of things, but we have condensed it down a little bit time wise. We're talking about Hollywood relationships and stuff. Mentioned a couple of people, and that you left us off on a cliffhanger about the job. Now, the whole job situation. If you're just joining us, or you vaguely remember, Beth had previously worked for a spot, and long story short, after her departure, she was contacted by some previous co-workers who said that they were reached out to by the FBI. That's FBI.
E.
So it was getting sticky because now while they had heard from them, you hadn't when they had reached out to you, right?
Correct.
So then, what had happened?
Okay, and I'm afraid this is anticlimactic. I left you guys on a, with a like what happened. It's not really much. So I will tell you this. So one of my coworkers had, like I said, she had contacted me. I said, okay, well, I haven't heard from anybody. A few weeks had passed. I hadn't heard from anybody. I was like straight. I was like, okay, well, I guess they don't need me. Fine. I mean, that's fine. Yay.
Right.
Don't want them to. So lo and behold, I get off of work one day and my family was in town. And so I went to go meet them and hang out with them for the weekend. So I stopped home and then got back on the road because they were actually more towards Orlando. And we were
Okay.
all meeting up at a spot in Orlando. And so I got a phone call. I don't answer numbers that I do not recognize and I do not know.
I feel like that's a
Because
normal practice
I
across the
feel like
board.
if you want me, you will leave me a message. And if you don't, then it wasn't really that important.
Exactly.
So I got a phone call, a number that I did not recognize. I did not answer. So then they did leave me a message. And when I finally went back and listened to the message, I was en route to Orlando. And it was special agent so and so and so and so. And they asked me to give them a call. Now, this is Friday afternoon, probably 3 or 4 o'clock. And I was like, okay. Well, it's Friday afternoon at 3 or 4 o'clock. So I can wait till Monday.
Because it's the end of the business day for everybody.
Right. Yep. Everybody. I'm heading into the weekend. I got my family in town.
Right.
And maybe they really don't need me. And if they need me, maybe they'll call me back. That was my thought.
Right.
So I'm like, but come Monday, I will call them back. So I go into the weekend with my family, hanging out, doing what we do, games, fun, whatever, having a good time, eating, drinking, not thinking much about it.
Right.
Go home on Sunday, and start my work week on Monday, forgetting completely that the FBI had contacted me.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
So I didn't think much of it. They didn't call me back again. So I'm like, okay, it must not be that big of a deal. Uh, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday comes around. I get home from work Thursday evening. I have some plans Thursday evening. Go take care of that. Come home. Now, just to say, my mom, when my family was in town, my mom was in town as well.
Hmm.
And after my family left, my mom came back with me. So she stayed with me
Okay.
for a few days. So she came back with me, and it's Thursday evening. We went out, came back home, and it's about 9:30. My son, we're just sitting in the living room talking, and my son goes, "Oh, hey, mom, by the way, got something for you. Hold on." Goes into his room, comes back with a card from Special Agent so and so from the FBI. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the FBI stopped by the house today."
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Now, hold on, Beth. Now, they came by your house?
They came by the house.
Oh,
He
no.
was like,
Oh,
"By
no.
the way, the FBI stopped by the house." I was like, "It is 9:30 at night,
What time did they stop by?
1 o'clock in the afternoon." I said, like, "Why are you just giving this to me now?" He's like, I guess forgot about it. He goes, "By the way, they said they wouldn't mind if you would please give them a call back." I said,
Oh,
"Oh
shucky
my
ducky.
goodness." I said, "Okay." So I went back on our Ring camera, pull it up, and sure enough, there's the FBI at my door. Two agents, a male and a female.
Was it Men in Black? Did they have on black suits?
They did not. No, they were dressed kind of poorly, actually, for the FBI.
Mm-mm.
Not in my mind what I would expect. Kind of plain.
What
But
you
okay,
mean?
whatever.
Listen, because they may
Just
not.
like everyday clothes on. Like he had on some Dockers and a polo, and she had on a, you know, outfit.
No, that don't sound right.
It don't sound right.
That's why are
Okay,
they dressing for a casual Friday on a
girl.
Thursday
It
anyway?
was like, I'm just saying. So I was
Mm-mm.
like, okay, way to, like that would have been a phone call. Like, like when the FBI would have knocked on the door,
In
and
plain clothes.
I would have been like, okay, but they showed their badge. I see it on my Ring camera, badge shown, hi, we're from the FBI, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And I will tell you one thing. We've got, as you know, we've talked about it before, we've got dogs
Right.
who, one dog in particular, his job is to make sure that there's no scary people at the door.
Okay.
And so I'm sure he did his thing. And when my son opened the door to them, I know he had to like settle him down, but it was so funny. This is, shows you how much interest, how much attention my, offspring pay to me and anything that I do. My son is like, "Oh, so what did you want to talk to her about?" And he was like,
I got some questions for you, matter of fact.
so they were like, well, she might have worked for this company. And he was like, mm-mm, like he didn't even know where I worked. He didn't even know where I worked. So when they, they said, in like, over here, and he was like, oh, okay,
Did
like he
she?
was like
Did
perplexed.
she?
Like, I'm like, if you don't make me seem more suspicious than, I mean, like, work with me, help me, please.
Listen, help me. Like he said,
So he's
think
like,
you got the
huh?
wrong
He's like,
lady. You got
she
the
might have
wrong
worked for
lady.
this startup, blah blah blah. He's like, oh, like he literally was like, oh, okay, like tell me more,
Wow. Why
like
was
tell me
he
more.
surprised? He's
Do
like, listen,
tell.
because to
She
be
did.
right, to be honest with you, I didn't know where she was going in the morning time. So thanks for filling those areas.
Okay, so whatever. So he gives me this card. I set it down. I'm like, okay, I'll call them tomorrow. We're going now into a Friday, and I
Oh
get off of work
Lord.
early on Friday.
Okay.
So I'm like, what I'll do is I'll come back and I will call them when I get off of work tomorrow. And so now it has been 1 week
Oh
since they
my God.
originally contacted me.
Beth, and you know you can't keep the government waiting. Now, while they
Well,
take forever to provide things, they want their stuff on time.
and
On
I,
time,
to
Beth.
be honest, Dawn, I probably should think of it that way, but I wasn't thinking of it that way. I was thinking like they don't want me. I ain't got nothing for them, so it's okay if I don't call them back. I don't have any information to give you, so
Right, listen, because
no, thank you.
clearly, if you ask my son, I ain't even worked there, so I don't know what you think you're gonna get from.
Okay, so that was Thursday. So then I go to work Friday, and then about like 1:30, I get a phone call from my
Oh,
daughter Keely, and she was like, "Hey, mom." I was like, "Yeah." She was like, the FBI just stopped by the house. This is the second day in a row. All
oh
right. She's
no,
like,
oh no.
you need to call them back. I'm like, what? She was like, and at first she said she didn't even answer the door because I don't, not only do I not answer the phone for numbers I do not know,
Right,
if I'm not expecting a visitor, I don't answer my door,
especially one that I don't know. Like,
especially when I don't know.
yeah.
I don't answer the door. You ring my doorbell. My ring doorbell will say, "I'm sorry, we're not available to take your to come to the door right now. Please leave a message." I don't answer the door. That's for what
Hilarious.
knowing what we do. That's kind of ironic, but I do not answer the door. Will not. No, not interested in anything.
Oh my gosh.
So
This is hilarious.
so
Okay.
okay, so anyway, so she's like, you need to call them back. So she's like, so at first I didn't answer the door because I thought it was one of those solar panels, solar roof salesmen. They're everywhere here. Okay. She's like, so I didn't answer the door. She said, but then they rang the doorbell again. And she was like, all right, let me go see. Then she looked open the door and they said it was the FBI. So she's like, oh shoot. So she said, then they made her, she was nervous. So she opened the door and she's like, all shifty. Cause she's like, what's the
Uh,
FBI at the door for?
well, hey, what's going on, guys?
And they're
What happened?
like, can you please? And she said, what's crazy about it? She looked at the vehicle they were in. They were in some nondescript, janky white van.
Oh no, hold on. You ain't selling seafood and peaches. Coming, you know how them people that be selling
Yes.
like the fruit and sea. Don't come to no. That's what's the new generation say? That's sus. That's
Okay,
really
right.
sus.
Right. And then she had the nerve to tell me, she was like, you know what? I've seen that van circling around here a couple of times. She's like, I was like, okay, hold up. Wait a second.
Oh
So
my
I was like,
goodness.
okay, shoot. Okay, let me go ahead and call them back. Let me go ahead and call them back. So I got off of work. I get off of work at 2 on Fridays. And I was said, let me go ahead and call them back. Well, lo and behold, I couldn't remember what I did with the card that Dylan gave me.
Shut up, Beth. Oh my
So
lord.
I was like, well, shoot, how am I going to contact them? So then I went through my old messages that they had, I forgot. Oh, I'm like, oh, they called me last week. Let me go
Right.
ahead and give them a call back. So I'll go back and look at my messages. So I called the number that they called me from, which is what they said
Okay.
to do on the message.
Right.
Rang, 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 rang. No voicemail, no nothing. So it led me to believe it was not a cell phone, but that it was like a landline phone.
Oh,
So
because it never. I got you. I got you.
right, no. So I left a voicemail, told them who I was and that what I was calling for and calling and returning their phone call and to please give me a call back, left the day, left the time and everything. So by now it's like Friday afternoon
Okay.
that I call them. They never called me back. But I wipe my hands of it. I'm like, okay, well, I did my job. I called them back like they asked me to. I'm done. I'm going, okay. That's good. They didn't have a voicemail. They don't want to speak to me that bad. So the weekend goes through. Lo and behold, Monday afternoon, why do I get okay, let me take it back. Now, recently I embarked on a new business endeavor and I got licensed and I'm a real estate agent as well.
We about to be rich. Go ahead.
Okay.
We about
So
to make that money.
so for my real estate endeavors, I set up a new email address specifically for things dealing with real estate, so that if I have any, clients, or I'm doing anything pertaining to that, it's separate
Right.
from my normal email.
Okay.
So I maybe have had this email address at this time for about a month or so. And nobody has this email address except for the licensing governing agency in Florida, which I had to get, to go through to get my
Right, right,
license.
right.
And
Mm-hmm.
the brokerage company that I work for.
Okay.
Those are the only people who have this email address. How come I check my email on Monday and I have Monday afternoon, I have an email from the FBI in that email address?
Oh no. Because it's the government. Listen, it's the government.
I'm
That's the
checking my
government.
email, and lo and behold, I see all this other stuff about housing and real estate market and leads and blah, 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 blah. And in between and in betwixt all of that, why do I see an email from,
The
"Hi,
government.
Beth. This is Special Agent so and so. We've been trying to reach you." I said, I
Oh
immediately,
no.
like,
Ain't no
listen,
way.
I shut my computer and, like, look around, like, look behind me, like, what? Hello? Who? Huh?
Control
How'd you
Alt Delete.
look?
Not today.
New email. Who this? How? How?
Oh no, that's freaky. We're watching you. No,
Yes,
no, no,
Dawn. Yes.
no, no, ain't no way.
And
Ain't no way.
they didn't even refer to the fact that I called them and left them a message. Like, I returned your phone call. They in the email are like, "We've been trying to get in contact with you, but we have, our attempts have failed. You have yet to respond." I'm like, wrong. I called you last Friday and left a very specific message.
I'm gonna need you to check your messages. That's a lie.
Right. Don't put this on me. If we go into the court of law, you ain't going to pull up and I was evading you. Absolutely not. I'll return the phone call.
Listen, because I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill, and I'm gonna tell you right now.
So anyway, so they were like, "Would you please contact us?" I'm like, "Oh Lord."
Listen,
So
this relationship is getting a little toxic. I'm
it's
gonna need y'all.
a little bit. We're going on to, now we're heading into week 2 or 3 or
Oh
whatever.
my goodness.
So I call them back, and once again, I get no answer and I get no voicemail. So then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try one more time. I'll call on my way home from work. So I have about a 45-minute drive, depending on traffic from work. And so I'm like, let me call them. So I call them back. And lo and behold, finally, Special Agent Stephanie somebody answers the phone. So I tell her, she's like, "Yes, we've been trying to reach you." I'm like, "Yes, I'm so sorry. I got the message. My family came into town, blah, 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 blah." I go into the whole spiel.
Please don't kill me.
I did call and left a message, but, it was whatever.
Please don't kill me.
Right. So finally, no, I take that back, Dawn. I take all that back. I could not leave a message because they never had a voicemail.
That's what, I thought that's what you had said. I wasn't going to question you about it.
No, what happened was they emailed me and I responded to their email to let them know that I had
that you tried
to call.
Okay.
Right, and I couldn't get a hold of anybody. My bad. Right. So
no, I'm saying get it straight, is because you need this documented, Beth. Because if I see you on court TV, I'm gonna need to be able to be like, no, what she had said was.
I got to see. Now, if I was on the stand right now, they would have tried to perjure me because
real quick, you would listen. Case out, you in jail. That's what would happen.
No, that's not right. You're right. I did not talk to them at all because there was no voicemail recording. It was finally, she emailed me. So finally I was able to email her back and say, "Listen, I tried to call you, blah, 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 whatever." So she finally called me back the next day. And this time I did not recognize the number, but I recognized the area code and I picked up the phone. And you know what iPhone, sometimes they'll say possibly or maybe,
right?
So and such. It did not say maybe Federal Bureau of Investigations in my defense, but
it said possibly Pizza Hut. The Swanson man.
I remembered the area code, so I picked it up. So it was Special Agent Stephanie somebody. She'd been trying to get a hold of me. She was a lead investigator on this case, and she's like, "You may have heard." And I'm like, I played dumb, like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. No, I have no idea."
Ain't about to get me caught up. I ain't
So
here.
she was
Listen,
like, "We'd
listen.
like."
My name is Bennett. I ain't in it.
Right. Right. She was like, "We'd like to set up an interview so that we could, talk to you about some things that blah blah blah." And I said, "Okay, fine. That's fine." I said, "Does it have to be in person? No, I don't want to meet these people. And I don't want to meet them in person."
Beth, why not? They
I
already
don't
been to your
know,
house
because then I
twice.
feel like they're watching me, and I'm going to be awkward because I know they're watching me to make sure that I don't know anything, but I don't know anything. But because I know they're watching me and I don't know anything, I might be awkward. They might think I know something. So anyway,
Oh my gosh.
long story short, it's too late. She's like, "We'd like to set up a time to interview you." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, when?" And she said, "Well, normal business hours, Monday through Friday. But we understand people have work, and they, sometimes can't do it that way. So we don't mind doing it a little bit after 5 or whatever." I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, I do work Monday through Friday." And I said, she said, "Because you're local, we'd like to actually interview you in person."
Mm.
I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, unfortunately," I said,
Bobcat.
I said, "I work out of town, and I know you would prefer to meet Monday through Friday, um, like by 5 or a little bit after 5." I said, "But I work out of town, and by the time I get home, sometimes it's closer to 6:30, so it probably won't work." She said, "Okay, where do you work at?" I said, "West
Oh,
Palm." And she said,
mm-mm.
"Oh, well, just so happens we have an office in West Palm." I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
mm-mm.
you just told me
Mm-mm.
because I was local, you wanted to meet me. Now you're telling
Right.
me you have an office in West Palm."
We're
So
going to need you to show up to this abandoned
she
building
said,
that's
"Listen, right?" She said, "Well, we happen to have an office in West Palm, so that's perfect. We can meet you there." I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, that's great." I said, "Unfortunately,"
Bobcat.
I said, "Unfortunately," I said, "I only get a half an hour for lunch." I said, "So,"
And I only use 8 minutes of that because I'm really focused into my work.
I said, "So I really don't have enough time to meet you at your office." I said, "Where your office is located?" She said, "Downtown." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "By the time I get down there," I said, "that really will be outside of my lunch period." I said, "And I don't get off until 5. So even if you came then," I said, "still would be late and you just makes it a late day." I said, "So, I mean,
Beth,
what?
Beth,
I don't
you
want
know
to
what,
meet these people."
Beth, you know what you sound like? You sound like a chick that's trying to get out of a date with a dude who has been forcing her to go on a date with him. Like, I really would like to. It's just
I
my
said,
schedule is so.
"Oh." So she said, "Well, where are you located at?"
Oh no, you
And
asking
I
too
said,
many questions,
"Oh,
Stephanie. Agent
Lord."
Stephanie. Mm-mm.
I said,
No.
"Well," I said, "I work by the airport." And she goes, "Well, it's not too far." She said, "We could come to you, maybe meet you someplace."
Oh no. Uh-uh. And the fact that you're using the Stepford Wives voice, I don't like it, Beth. I don't
And
like it one
so
bit.
I'm like, "I'm not telling you where I work, even though you are the government. You probably already know where I work."
Right.
I said, "Well, you know what? There is a hotel downtown or down right, attached to the building that I work at. So we can meet at the hotel in the lobby. That's fine. I'm not telling
That
you what
has many cameras.
I'm not telling you what floor I work on and which building. There's like 3 buildings and they have a center location where the lobby of the hotel is. I'm not telling you which building I'm in, which wing of the building I'm in, what floor I'm on. I'll meet you in the lobby." And she said, "That's fine. She said, we can come to your office." I was like, "Oh, no, no, no. You know what? There's plenty." I said, "There's plenty of chairs and open spaces and tables where we can sit down and we can talk. It's nice. Open. We can just do it down. You're not coming. No, you ain't coming
Right.
into my employment. The FBI
And
making me
listen,
look suspicious.
and this is
No,
what I'm
thank you."
wondering. This is what I'm wondering. Why ain't Agent Stephanie catching a hint? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would feel like if I didn't gave you 18 options, and of all 18 options, I didn't said, well, the person has responded no, I'm gonna take a hint and be like, no, they're probably just not
Well,
comfortable.
and the thing
You know
is,
what I
she
mean?
said we don't have to meet in person. She said we can do if all else fails, we can do a telephone interview, but we'd like to meet in person. And my thing is, why? You know why? Because they want to look me over. Innocent people go to jail every day.
They want to see if they can pin
They
it on
want to
me.
see if
They
I'm
want
shifty. They want to see how much melanin I have. No,
this one's a ripe one. Let's get her.
good Lord. Anyway. So.
Oh my good. Everything about, like I said, this sound, and the fact that you kept coming up with excuses. Listen, that part is that probably seems suspicious to him, Beth. You done
I didn't
came up with
want to
every.
talk to them, Don. I did
Listen,
not want to talk to them.
I apologize, but no, I'm gonna have to mow my cat, and then it's just not gonna work out because then I have to go fishing for a cake, and
Right.
it's just
Any and everything. So so she's like, well, what day can we meet? And I'm like, oh Lord. And I was like, well, we can do Friday on my lunch break. And she's like, what? She asked if we could do Friday. Now, Friday of all days is the day at work. Friday is my short day, but I'm in meetings all day from like 10 until 1. And then I leave at 2.
okay.
And so I'm like, well, I said, at this point, I have like deflected 1,000 times. And then, of
That's
course,
what
the
I'm
day
saying,
that she
Beth.
wants to meet, how am I going to say, no, I'm in meeting now? How does that sound? Oh, no, you know what? It's Friday. I'm in meetings all day. Can't do it. But I am in
It
meetings
ain't
all
gonna
day.
sound no different than the other 18 excuses you came up with. So what's wrong?
So finally I said, I said, Friday is a meeting day. I said, but you know what? I think I should be done by, like, if you want to meet, maybe like at 12:30, 1 o'clock, maybe we could meet and blah, blah. And I didn't dare tell her that we got off of work early on Fridays, because then,
You think you can hold me up?
yeah.
Nah.
Oh, no.
Right.
No.
Nah. Mm-mm.
So, all right. So we set the date and the time. And this story is taking way too long. We set the date and the time. They're going to meet me at work and we're going to talk. So in the meantime, I'm like, let me go tell my boss what's up, so that if, just in case I have to bow out of the meeting a little bit early, and because we, like, sometimes we get done early and sometimes we don't, but just in case we don't, let him know what's up.
Right.
So I proceed to tell him. He's like, Beth, he said, there are traffickers out here. There's traffickers. He's like, no, no, no,
Oh
that doesn't even sound
Lord.
right. That doesn't sound right. And I'm like, Lord, I know, but I said, I think it's about work, and I'm fine. He's like, He's like, I've worked with the FBI before. I've had the FBI, with a previous job that he's done before. He's had to be interviewed by the FBI because of some shady stuff that he said, they came to your house. He's like, no.
Right.
He's like, there are traffickers out here all the time. He's like, I don't know. That doesn't sound right. He said, do you want me to come down with you? And I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
Beth,
So,
how are you turning this into a Lifetime movie network movie? Have you not seen these movies? Everything that you have just described, this is how the movies go, Beth. And you are the chick that, like, she got 5 friends. It's like, you know what? I don't think this is good. Do you want us to go with you? No, it's okay. Even
so
though they showed up to my house and I didn't give them my address and they had my email address and I didn't give that to them either, I should be okay, Beth. If you ain't I could,
So this is what
ooh.
I did do. I was like, I don't need you to come down with me, but I have there's a dude that I work with, and he is like very pro Second Amendment, if you catch my drift.
Oh, got you, got you,
And
got
he
you.
was like, you want me to come down there with you? I was like, you know what you
Yes,
can do?
please.
How about, he's like, I'll walk down there. He's like, come on, what you wanted me to do? And I'm like, okay, listen. I was like, I think I'll be okay. I really think I'll be okay. They look, from my Ring video camera,
Oh,
um,
wow.
very unassuming. But if you want to, like, kind of come down in the lobby, he's like, I'll sit a couple tables over from you. And I kind of, case it. He goes, if you need me to. I'm like, I work for, a fitness company. And this
Right.
dude before he worked for us, he worked for LA Fitness. So he's a
Okay.
fitness guy. He's kind of big. He used to be a
Okay.
bouncer, all this other kind of stuff.
Okay.
So he was like, I'll come down. I'm like, okay, you could just kind of come and, like, surveil it and just see what you see. And, so he did. I left. He left like a minute behind me, and then he came to the lobby. He walked around, and when I saw Stephanie, and this time when Stephanie got down, she was with another lady. It wasn't the
Oh,
male that came
okay.
to my door. I felt a little bit better. Like I said,
Okay.
they were very what's the word? Is it non-assume, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say, but they didn't look threatening.
Okay.
And then he kind of walked to the door and he gave me the thumbs up, like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like,
Listen, Secret Service.
that's exactly what
Fly,
it was.
fly,
And
Blue
I was
Eagle.
like,
Blue
when they
Eagle
were
has
looked like
landed.
they went to go sit down and get in their bags. And I looked at him, I was like, okay, I gave him the thumbs up. I was like, I'm okay. And then from I'm
All I need you to say
serious.
is that you had an earpiece and like he was talking to you through the earpiece.
And then I found out after the fact that he went up on the mezzanine level
Yeah.
after and just kind of watched and waited for us and made sure that
Oh.
everything was good before he went back up to the office.
And what now? What's his name?
His name is Jason.
Jason. Hopefully, Jason listens to us. Jason, good looking out.
Good
Good
on
looking
you.
out.
Good on
Because
you.
if I'm sure you know, working with Beth, that some of her decisions that she makes aren't the wisest ones. So thank you, Jason. We all the friends here that have listened to this crazy Lifetime Movie Network story that could have developed into a news at 5 story. We
I'm
thank you for keeping Beth safe for us.
telling you, it's anticlimactic.
No, there was
Anticlimactic.
nothing anticlimactic about that, Beth. You could almost been got kidnapped and been in Tijuana pressing sugarcane. Like no, like
So I met with Stephanie and the other lady. I can't remember her name. And I actually was looking at them. I'm like, y'all are FBI agents? I mean, like, look, they were very unassuming looking.
that's how they get them, Beth. Next thing you know, they would have put the Vulcan death grip on you and turned
They
into
were
some
very, you're
samurai.
absolutely right, because these ladies were very, like, plain Jane, kind
Mm-mm.
of like very I would not have thought twice about them.
Listen.
And they proceeded to ask me questions. It turns out it wasn't about my employer, it was about that specific employee
Oh,
that
like
I
espionage?
originally that I had heard about. But then when she had called me and said they were talking about working at my time, they wanted to talk to me about working my time working at the company. I thought maybe they were investigating the company, but it went back to him that they were talking about still the same individual. And
Oh.
so they asked me all kinds of questions about him, and your girl sang.
Like Tweety. She said, "What
Tweet,
would
tweet,
you
tweet,
like to
tweet,
know?
tweet, tweet, tweet.
What would you like to know? Yes, I can tell you about him because you ain't worried about me."
Oh.
About to sing it like Tony Braxton.
I was like, okay, well, in my opinion, and this is just what my thoughts and what I think. Listen, and before I went down there, my boss talking to me, and I'm a Judge Judy aficionado, and I was like, you only answer the questions that are asked. You
Right.
don't offer no extra information.
Right.
You don't go into detail about nothing. I was like,
Boom.
so in my opinion, and this is just my thoughts, and let me just tell you what I think. This is what I observed, but it's just what I saw. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but
Oh my. This is a prime example of the Whitney Houston case. Only Beth had the inside information. Beth was like, "Now I don't know about anybody else, but I noticed when he pulled up in his 1997 Hyundai with the license plate ending in 532, I found it a little odd."
and they showed me pictures,
Oh Lord!
and
So they have been
this
watching
looked
him.
like something they went to his place. It kind of looked like they had ransacked it because they had found some things there. They asked me if he should have had access to that information. I'm like,
Well, in my
no.
opinion, absolutely not.
Then they wanted to talk to me because I was the accountant for the company. So I did the expense reports and I did this and that. And I guess he had claimed that the company actually owed him some money, and they wanted to know. And then he said that like I hadn't processed some of his expense reports. And I said, as a matter of fact, I did not process a couple of them. And here's why. Because actually, he had padded some of his former expense reports and he had booked things double on there and was trying to turn them in
Ooh.
twice. And we paid this man out thousands of dollars in expenses that I thought were wrong, that I went to the
Ooh.
CFO about. And I said, he's listing things multiple times, the same receipts on the expense reports, hoping that I won't notice them, changing the tip amount on them, using the same,
Ooh.
like using, when you go out to eat and they'll give you like a receipt and then an itemized receipt and then like the
Right.
server copy and then
Yes.
he was like keeping all of them, turning them all in, adding different tip amounts. So the bottom number was a little bit off every time. So I wasn't entering in, or I wasn't seeing duplicate amounts on the expense report.
Right.
And then he would not put them in chronological order. He would space them out so that when he filled out his expense report, he didn't put them one behind each other. So I wasn't really verifying the date. I was just looking for the amounts.
Right.
And they were all there. He had them all spaced out. But then one specific restaurant, for some reason, I'm like, well, he frequents this restaurant a lot. And I just happened to look at it and I'm like, he got the same thing. And then I happened to look at it again and the server was the same. And the time was the same. And the date was
Ooh.
the same. And the transaction number was the same. And I'm like, this
Oh,
fool has
buddy.
turned this receipt in like multiple times. And he had done that on several different restaurants. But I just happened to catch it on that one. It caught my eye.
Yeah.
We were paying this fool out. When I say thousands of dollars, like his expense reports were like $4,000, $2,000, $3,000 expense reports for food.
Wow.
Anyway, that's stupid. I mean, I'm just saying. So I was just going on. And so they're like, so you're saying that he stole from the company? I'm like, well, listen, I didn't
Now,
say
now
that.
hold
But
on. Now
listen,
hold on, Stephanie. Hold on now.
those words didn't come out of my mouth. You know what I mean? But I was like, he ain't going to turn around and be like, I owe him money. I'm like, yes. I said, I did not process like several of his expense reports towards the end. I said the company was running out of money. We had bills that we owed to actual vendors. This man was milking and bilking the company, and I knew that he was. And the CFO was like not addressing it. He was like, just give it back to him and tell him that you need him to redo it. I'm like, I'm
Oh,
telling you, like this
wow.
dude is like double
Playing
booking stuff.
y'all.
Yeah. And they were trying to keep him happy because he's this renowned scientist, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so I held on to his expense reports because I'm like, we've got bills that need to be paid. The money, we're already
Boom.
running low on money. I'm not giving this man any money that I know that he
Boom.
doesn't owe. So yeah, I held on to him. And he owes us money, you know what I mean? And on top
Right.
of that, he was doing some other dubious things. And so I asked the FBI agent, I said, just out of curiosity, what makes this a federal like investigation? I said, if you guys think he stole from the company, like why isn't this just like a local matter? Why isn't the
Right.
local, you know, agencies involved, like the city police or the sheriffs or whatever the case may be? And they said because they thought that he had stolen intellectual property. So the founder of the company had come up with all of these formulas and everything, and this uh what do you call it,
Patent or like a.
yes, this yeah, like these patentable, I don't know if that's a word, these things that had come up that were supposed to be unique and were his, and that they were formulas and they were like chemistries for these, all these different things.
Yeah.
And he was so paranoid, the founder, about theft and corruption, that
Yeah.
he kept everything locked up in a safe on a thumb drive, which this man happened to have the thumb drive. Don't ask me how he got it. And
Oh.
all of this stuff. But anyway, it was intellectual property. And the theft of intellectual property is a federal offense.
Ooh. I don't know if y'all knew that, friends. Keep that in
So
mind.
they said that is why the FBI was investigating because theft of intellectual property is no longer like local. I said, good to know.
Learn something new every day. Thank you, Agent Stephanie, and thank you for
All
not
right.
selling me to the cartel.
Anyway, like I said, anticlimactic. That was all they wanted.
Well,
And that was it. But
listen.
it was like, I was for
So,
a minute
anything
there.
come up of the dude? Do you know if he's going to court? Is he
I,
getting?
well, let me tell you this. I will tell you, he gave me the heebie jeebies to begin with.
Mm.
I wasn't really like, he was nice enough. I mean, he was nice, but when somebody oozes something that's a little bit like
It's a
icky,
vibe.
they give you
You
that
can,
little, give you the ick, as you would
yes.
say. Something about him gave me the ick, and I just didn't know what it was, but it was enough that like this company was small. Initially, the lab left at 4, and then like all of the like the business side of the company stayed till 5. And before I switched to lab hours and started going in early and leaving at 4 with the lab, I would work till 5. And I would know that I would make sure that if everybody else was gone, there was only like a few of us that were non-lab staff.
Yeah.
If for some reason the founder was gone and his assistant was gone and the CFO, which is who I reported to, didn't come in, there was only me and then the marketing guy left that was like not really lab, and this dude
Yeah.
was lab, but he like lived there, he was there all the time.
Mm.
If the lab had gone and then everybody else was gone, I made sure come 5 o'clock my behind was out, like
I heard that.
4:50 something. I was like, get myself, because what he would do, he was not American. I will just say it that way. He was Indian. And so he had a
Okay.
very thick and heavy accent. I couldn't hardly understand him. I would have to fake half the time. I would just like laugh and say, yeah, haha, because I couldn't understand what he was saying half the time. And
I'm going to kidnap you later. Oh, okay. Good. Cool. Cool. Cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And he would laugh all the time, and I'd be like laughing with him. I had no idea what he was saying.
I kidnapped somebody last night. Okay. Cool. 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 That's nice. That's
So
nice.
he just gave me the ick feeling I didn't like. And he's like, you want a tour lab? You come by a tour lab. I'm like, no.
To tour the lab.
I worked in the lab, but he wanted like to show me like all of the different machinery and
Oh,
like
I think not.
everything.
You're not about to
and
inject something in my skin.
and so
Turn me into
um
Spider Woman. I think not.
that's how I felt. Like I felt like when he was around, I didn't like when I could see that everybody was leaving and it was just gonna be me left there, and like everybody else was getting packed up. Beth was like, I'm leaving early today. I'm packing up. I'm going. Everybody else.
Right.
I did not want to be in the building with him. I don't think that he would like blatantly do anything. I just didn't like the feeling of it. And I felt like he was trying, he'd ask questions and what are you doing? And he was always like, he was a walking, talking resume, the person who like always
Oh,
has to tell you
uh-huh.
about like what they do and what they can do and he was that all the
Ugh.
time. And that to me, I just don't like that kind of I can't stand that kind of person who's to constantly like, boast about what they can do and their all that kind of stuff. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It's not, I shouldn't say I don't like, it's just not my favorite. So
That's not
anyway,
liking it, Beth, but okay.
okay, all right, whatever. So anyway, and so then one day somebody told me to Google him,
Oh, yeah.
and I did Google him, and
Okay.
he used to work for the Department of the DOE, Department of Energy,
Okay.
at a university, I believe, as well, and he had a lawsuit against them for, I want to say, like, he said that they fired him unjustly, like an unjust firing.
Okay.
But I think they also accused him of something. And then he also had like a female had pressed charges against him for like some kind of a icky
Harassment.
stuff. Yeah, or something like that.
My thing is, why are we whispering right
I
now?
don't know. Cause I feel like
Because it turned into a very quiet with like I feel like all of us, me and the other friends, are leaning in trying to get the deets from you. And I just don't know why it turned into that.
because I don't know. I don't know.
She
But
said
anyway,
you act like oh boy is next to you right now.
listen to
We
this
straight work
podcast.
gossiping.
Listen,
Like
listen
it's
to
like,
this
and I
podcast.
heard listen, and I heard that.
He listens to I ain't saying, but I'm
But I'm
saying.
saying Beth, this is now. I really this developed into way more than I thought it was
Well,
going
the
to
thing is, I
be.
took up the
It
whole stinking podcast telling a dumb story.
No, in a good way though. I thought it was just, oh yeah, they called me. Da, da, da. No, you put in some extra. First of all, we learned that you're not good to have around in suspicious situations because you will get everybody snatched up. We learned that. We learned that Jason is built and swole and will protect us and will Jason cool.
Right.
We learned that yeah, you put yourself in situations that are uncalled for. We learned a lot.
How did I
We
put
learned
what situation did I put myself in?
the fact that when you said your boss was like, "Well, you want us to go with you?" No, it's all
Well,
right.
I was in a
They
public
showed up to
place,
my
in a
house, but
public
it's okay.
lobby with people down there. So that's why I felt like, and I didn't
Beth,
want, and I didn't want to be more suspect by bringing my
the crew, I
bodyguards
sure would have.
down
I
with
would have
me to the
listened
FBI because they're like,
here.
why does
I
chick
would have
need to bring
rolled.
reinforcements if she ain't worried about
Beth,
nothing?
you ain't let me say one dag on word. I'm done with you. Anyway, I would have sure enough rolled 12 people deep. I don't care. You called me. You came asking for me. Yep. And y'all buying lunch for everybody too. We want the lobster tail with the drawn.
Uh,
I love it. No, but I thought that was a good story. Like I said, it had Lifetime Movie Network written all over it, especially your role and everything. So yes, thank you for sharing that. I want to look up the dude now. I will get with you
I
after
will get.
the
I will.
show.
Yes, I will give you his name
Yeah, because
off
I need to look
air,
some stuff up.
and you can look him up.
Because listen, he sound like he's from Clackamas.
Listen.
He sound like Mark from Clackamas. Yeah. Um, if you don't know about that, go back and listen to one. It was hilarious. No, okay, but listen, okay, so we going because we're gonna try to be at an hour, so we got a
Right,
few minutes.
and I don't know, we're probably getting close, but and this will lead me to something we can talk about later, because speaking of like cases and things,
Yeah.
that Karen Reed trial case that nobody is talking about, but
Oh
everybody in
yeah.
Boston is talking about. I want to talk about because it is crazy. Speaking of the FBI and investigations,
And corrupt stuff. Yeah,
oh
that's
my goodness, did you follow it ever?
I a little bit, but then I trailed off because it was a lot going on, and I even in the
I came
first,
into it. Uh uh I came
even
into it
in the
late
first
and
like
got
the
fully
yeah
invested. I came
right
into it late and got fully invested, and now like it then came and left and went and everything else. But it was like
is
I
the
was
trial
all
over?
the trial is over. There's
What
so
happened? What
but even with the trial being over, there's still so much stuff going on after the fact about the corruption. Like it's the corruption is still playing out. Like
mm,
case in point, she it's over. Hung jury. Okay. So the prosecution, for our friends out there who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you a very brief aside. It's a case out of Canton, Massachusetts, which is um a small town, I think not far from like Boston and everything. But there was this woman who was accused of killing her cop boyfriend, whose body was found on the lawn of another well-connected cop from that town.
mm.
And she is saying 100% no way, shape, or form did she kill him. They're saying that they got into a fight. She got mad. She backed her car up into him, killed him, and left him for dead after a night of drinking and being out, everybody. And her defense team is saying absolutely not. Her and her boyfriend left this restaurant, bar and grill, where everybody had been drinking, to go to an after party at this other cop's house. She let him get out. He went. Are you still there?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, sorry. She out of the car to go inside to make sure it was like safe, that they came in and everything was cool, because she wasn't from this area. They were dating, and she was from like a couple of towns over or whatever, to make sure everything was cool. She dropped him off. She was waiting to get the all good signal. He never signaled her back, never said anything. She was calling him. He never texted, nothing. So she got mad and left and went home. And she woke up about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. He was still not home, and she got worried and started calling. Went to go back and look for him, and his body was dead in front of the in the lawn of the house.
Craziness.
Craziness. So she ended up getting found. Well, they came on a hung jury. However, the it's so much corruption, like between like the lawyer, the prosecuting attorney, the trooper that did the investigation, the judge who was sitting on this case, everything, that the jury found her not guilty of the murder and the
Good.
manslaughter. Wait a second. Found her not guilty of the murder and the manslaughter. Where they were hung at were, they wasn't sure if she maybe by mistake had like accidentally hit him. So it was like operating a vehicle like under the influence, like an OUI, or
Mm.
vehicular manslaughter. They weren't sure, like there was some lesser charges that's where they couldn't come to an agreement on, but they had all 100% unanimously had voted that she was not guilty of murder and manslaughter. And when they turned their slip into the judge did not read that they found her not guilty on those counts, and they were hung on the lesser counts. The judge just said they were a hung jury, and so it was a mistrial, because if they do it that way, then the prosecution can retry her.
Oh, wow.
But if she's not guilty on the murder and the manslaughter, then they can't retry her for that. They can retry her for maybe the charges that they weren't unsure of, but they were saying that she murdered him. She murdered him. I mean, unequivocally, they were saying that's what she did. She knowingly did it.
Mm.
The judge
Wow.
never reported that the jury found her not guilty on that. The judge
But I
made
mean,
it seem
but
like
they
they
know that though. It's public
no,
knowledge though,
the
right?
jury knew that. The jury knew that, but the judge did not. And not only did the judge know it, the judge typically, when the jury comes back with the verdict and the
Yeah.
what they say when they're a hung jury and the statement that they produce, the judge has to share it with the attorneys on both sides, and then she reads it aloud. The judge did not share the note with the attorney. She just read the verdict as a hung
Mm.
jury. So then the prosecution can say so then finally, like 4 days after, the jury started talking to each other, and they're like, we found her not guilty on the murder trial, but the prosecution is saying they're going to retry her, and that's double jeopardy. They can't. So the jury had to anonymously contact the defense, like her team, and say, we're nervous because we need to let you guys know that we found her not guilty on those. Like we didn't find her. We weren't a hung jury on that. We were a hung jury only on like, was she operating the vehicle under the influence?
Oh, wow.
Because they were going to try her again. So much corruption. Sorry. As you can see, I was very all wrapped up into it.
Well, this is
I
going to
feel
be
like
a
I've
movie in a few
dominated
years.
this whole dominate. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be it's going to be something, a documentary. I'm telling you. So watch out for it. It's fascinating in such a
Wow.
disappointing way.
And I know that
Okay.
there's like if you want, there's a few people that cover on TikTok that have a whole breakdown day by day
Yes.
the information in
It's
case that
it
you
was
can go down the rabbit hole and
it was
really
crazy.
like,
It was crazy,
yeah.
Dawn. I feel like I've
I
dominated a lot of
can't.
the conversation. I've heard myself talk a lot, and I apologize.
I don't know, but that is, I mean, it that case in particular was a lot. And there was another, if you haven't, along this side of documentaries and stuff, just real quick, there was this Netflix documentary, and I know I was telling you about it, Beth. Tell Them You Love Me. I'm not even, you've got to see this for yourself, and the shenanigans and the craziness. tell them you love me. Just check it out on Netflix. I'm not even gonna go into it because if I do, it would be possible for me to give too much away. So I will just say,
Tell
if you
them
like
you love me.
documentaries and
Okay.
this is a case, check it out. Tell them you love me on Netflix. Other than that, I appreciate the story. Like I said, we're caught up now. We know the ending. You are not under witness protection, so we are happy that you can continue
I am
your
safe.
life normally.
I am
Right.
safe. Yes.
Right. And so next time we're going talking about some things going on real quick. One being that, like, Alabama grocery stores sell ammunition and vending machines. That's beyond my, I don't know why you would need that.
That's
The-
scary to me.
it's a little scary. It's a little scary. Yeah, just some other craziness. But friends, thank you so much. Like I said,
Has it
we'll
been an
see about
hour
the
already?
visual. It has. It has.
Wow.
But we'll see about the visual stuff. But
Let us
we're definitely
know.
gonna
Once
be,
again, let us know. We've got
yeah.
our Instagram page. If people listen to this, if they let, I mean, for some people they might not even care because all they do is listen. So I mean, it might not
Right.
even be. But if you do watch, or you have watched, or you were one of the handful of people that did, and you would like to see a visual to go along with the audio, let
Yeah,
us
let us
know.
know. We might make something happen.
Ain't say
But
ain't. I mean, ain't
ain't
say
saying
ain't.
ain't. Ain't saying ain't. Ain't saying ain't. Ain't saying ain't. Well, we definitely thank y'all for hanging out with us for another time. I ain't saying.
I ain't saying ain't say ain't, but I'm saying.
I we gone, y'all. Bye.